of the Bartholomew County Council is order. We will begin with the invocation and pledge led by Lord Morat.
Thank you very much. And for your program, since this is my last council Bible session, I prepared a prayer. I hope that you will bear with me. Having said that, may I remind us that Matthew says that when two or more are gathered together in prayer, Jesus is here with us. Having said that, dear Heavenly Father, we glorify you and praise your name as we gather here today. We ask that the work of this meeting be a vessel for us to serve the members of our community and you in setting a fiscally responsible foundation for our county. We offer up our prayers for those in need. Grant our leaders the wisdom to protect and promote our liberties. Bless our Bartholomew County Council as they guide your flock with your loving kindness, humility, and charity. Please touch our hearts with your wisdom so that our decisions humbly reflect your love, and we leave here knowing that with you we can make a difference. We ask this in through Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen.
We pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item of business is approving the July minutes. Motion,
So moved.
do I have a second?
Second.
Mark has moved and Greg has seconded. Any discussion?
I think all corrections were made.
Believe that you are correct. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, new business. We are starting with Nicole Phillips.
So, I actually have three things. I know there are only two on the agenda, but a colleague had emailed Daylene last week about Veterans Treatment Court user fees. The first thing I have is the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Initiative grant. That is a fiscal grant, starts July 1, 2026, runs through June 30th of 2027. It is $60,469.70. Does not pay for any people. It just pays for us to provide funds and incentives to juveniles, youth services center, juveniles on probation, law enforcement officers. It's a grant we've been getting since 2014, I believe. I would just like to have those funds appropriated for use for this fiscal year.
All right, any questions for Nicole? I need a motion.
Transfer or appropriate $60,469.76.
Second.
Right, Greg has moved, George has second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right.
The second item is an appropriation of our juvenile user fees fund. We're requesting $5,000. That is $4,500 for travel and training and $500 for contractual services for interpretation translation. We don't currently have anything appropriated out of that fund. It's a small amount in that fund.
Any questions for Nicole?
Make a motion, go ahead and do additional for the 5.
Mark has moved, second. Kim has second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, I see your Veterans Treatment Court under transfer, the 800.
Yes.
Go ahead and do it while you're up here.
Yes, transfer $800 from office supplies to travel and training out of that fund 9108, the Veterans Treatment Court user fees.
All right, any questions? I'll entertain a motion. Motion.
Second.
Okay, Kim has moved to transfer the $800 from Veterans Treatment Court to travel and training. Mark has second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are you doing the adult probation and the alcohol drug, or somebody else doing those transfers?
Somebody else must be doing those. That was not on my list.
Beautiful, thank you. All right, Bobby Shake.
It's actually gonna be me, Bobby's on vacation.
Welcome, Dave.
I'm requesting, we were awarded a grant from RMC. I'm simply requesting authorization to spend said grant on water rescue equipment. Total comes out to $1,250.
Any questions for Dean?
I move to approve the $1,250,000 grant from the RAMC to the Sheriff's Department.
Second?
Second.
All right. George has moved, Mike has second for $1,257. To appropriate the RMC grant. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, our surveyor, Jake. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I am looking for appropriations for legal services for a legal issue we're currently dealing with. I think when I first sent the information into Daleen, the cost is different than what it is now. We recently did have our the hearing where the judge heard everything. This is a legal issue with a legal drain in the county where get too much detail, right? The homeowners have appealed the decision from the drainage board, so we're going to have to go through this process. Final judgment should be coming within the next couple of weeks here. Therefore, there could be additional services that we will be invoiced. Right now, I think I had asked for $11,401.50. The bill right now is just under 12, and there could be an additional 3,500. That's just my assumption. I don't know if we want to just go with what we have invoiced now.
Here's what we have to go with. We have to go with what's advertised.
Then you have to come back in September for the balance if you got.
Okay.
Yep.
So we have to go with what's advertised right now, which is the $11,401.50.
All right. Any questions on this?
Make a motion to approve that.
Right.
$7,401. Second.
Mark seconded. Any discussion or questions for Jake?
Just normal.
No, very rare. This was it was a maintenance assessment. There's only 2 drains left in the county that does not have this. So as they went with that, the drainage board voted to proceed with one. The property owners within that watershed said no, and they went through the correct process. So no, it does not happen very often.
Now we have one drain left.
We have one that does not have a maintenance fund on it, correct? Maintenance assessment, yes.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank
See you in
you.
September.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Shannon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
I am here today to ask for an additional appropriation in the amount of $52,646.42. I emailed you all last month, kind of giving you a rough idea. This is for a second vehicle for the emergency management office, so that both the director and the deputy director have a vehicle and are available to respond at the same time, possibly in 2 different areas, 2 different locations. The money and the amount is equal to the reimbursement the county just received last month for our 2025 salaries. So this would actually be money that you've already spent and not asking for any additional monies to be spent.
That makes sense.
So, yeah, $52,646.42. That's the exact amount of the emergency management performance grant, which is the reimbursement grant for those salaries on a yearly basis. And we would just utilize that money to purchase that second vehicle for our office.
And I think I spoke to you since you sent the email out, and that would be clear, or at least you brought it up with the commission by increasing the fleet in the county. and insurance, et cetera.
Yes, so, I did present this to the commissioners, when I did my budget presentation to them. They were good with me moving forward and presenting it to you. It also has the support of my advisory council, to present to you and request the vehicle.
Did I hear you correctly to say that this was money from salaries and 2025 budget that was not spent?
No, so each year, the county is reimbursed through the Emergency Management Performance Grant for up to, it used to be 50%. Now it's a percentage based on our population. Last year, our allotment was 55,000, but there was a gap between when Michael Snyder, the previous deputy, left, and Jem Bussey, the new one. So the amount was reduced to the 52,646.42. That money you've already spent in our salaries last year. We were reimbursed that amount in 2026. And I'm just asking for that. It typically goes back into general fund. I'm just asking you to put that money into my budget and allow us to purchase a second vehicle for emergency management with it.
Thank you for the clarification. I move, if there are any other questions to,
Wait,
Mike,
wait,
stop.
Mike.
Is this vehicle take-home vehicle or is it maintained at your office?
We have, the current one that I have is a take-home vehicle, and that allows us to respond at any time, anywhere within the county.
So the second one is gonna be take home as well?
Yes.
Historically, the reimbursement for the salaries where that's gone to general fund for you to use.
It's gone to general, it's just gone back to general fund, to my knowledge, and at least within my 10 years of being the director, we have never asked for it to be put back into our budget and utilized for any.
go back to kind of
It
general?
goes back to general fund, and so for budget purposes, it goes through miscellaneous revenue.
Yeah.
And then miscellaneous revenue is something that is used to then
Budget for-
fund the general fund.
So in your miscellaneous revenue, when we think about next year's budget, that grant money's included in that
Right.
budget number. So
Yeah.
the money in this year's budget, we anticipated this grant as well.
Right,
So we are sort of budgeting it,
right.
so to
You
speak.
didn't budget the expense, we budgeted the.
I mean, we budgeted in a lump.
Yeah, in a lump, in a big, because it's, what I said, $1 million, that's miscellaneous. Okay,
Yeah. We don't budget miscellaneous revenue back to departments.
right. Do we want to do this now, part of the budget process? I mean, she's very clearly, I understand exactly what you're doing. Like, she's asking for it now because we already got the money from the grant.
Or take that into consideration in budget, what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think, I would, yes, I think if you're gonna do a budget and we're getting income from other sources that we already have, it ought to
Planned.
be, it ought to be noted, especially in a year when you have to cut and things like that, that is money that we can utilize.
But,
I wouldn't do that at the budget session.
right, but what do we want to do about this? Do we want to,
I think that this is done. I think we ought to proceed with it.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. You said it's done. What do you mean?
Well, I mean,
You want to table it to budget or?
no, I think that we ought to take action on this thing now.
Okay.
However, when we start thinking about the budget, that this is not the only department that we allocate money to, that is replaced by a grant, and that we need to take in consideration in the future. So everybody knows from the front end what's gonna happen. It's not encumbered money or anything like that.
money? Help me understand. It's just two of you in your office?
There are two of us right now, yes. And I mean, right now, in the past, what we have done is we've asked the deputy director if we have to be in two locations, whether that's doing damage assessments or things like that,
Yeah,
to respond in their own vehicle. And sometimes that's with other staff from other agencies and relying on their insurance and liability to cover them if anything happens. So this would allow us to have two vehicles and to be in those two different places if it's, necessary. In response to something that happens within the county, if it is a training or meetings, different things like that. that we would have the ability to respond and have its identification as well. Right now, if we pull up to someone's driveway or along the side of the road, there are no lights, there's no identification, there's nothing on the personal vehicle that says who they are, why they're there, anything like that, like the truck that we have now.
Have you previously had another vehicle and it's gotten,
We have not.
okay. What is the annual, do we know what the annual cost that we are reimbursed the individual that is using his own car for mileage, et cetera?
I do not have the figure with me today.
Is the 52,646?
Have you considered, oh, I'm sorry,
We would utilize that. I mean, that would be our limit. We would find something that fits within that budget.
So it wouldn't be less than that. It would be somewhere really close to that.
I think to get what we need, it would probably be close to that at least. Yes.
Can you tell us how many of these on-site visits or usages occurred this past year, past 2 years?
We've had numerous events, and if you look at the events that have happened over the last couple of years, our disasters are increasing. We had 5 tornadoes last year. We've had one this year. We've had flooding both last year and this year. There are multiple meetings and things that we attend. I could put those numbers together and give them to you as far as the total number. But each process of a disaster also requires us going out sometimes 2-3 times doing damage assessments with different sets of teams across the county and different meetings. We have local meetings, district meetings, different things that require us to travel within a 7 to 8 county radius.
And do you foresee this vehicle lasting 5 years?
I see it lasting, we have the current one, it's a 2017. So we've had it since then. The previous one was a 2000. We had it for 17 years. So it really just kind of depends on that usage and how well it's maintained. And
I think honestly, I think it makes common sense. You figure out, you got a director that has to have vacation, has to have weekends at home or gone sick. You have somebody called in, there better be a backup plan. And this weather's not changing and the world's not changing. And I think it's a secondary insurance plan for us having, especially somebody pulling up on a scene without any identification or talking, or at least trying to get stuff out.
If this vehicle is going to be, say, we're fortunate and it lasts 10 years.
Yeah.
It pays.
You know, 52 for the amount and the time of the year, we can act on it now or we can do it at budget, but.
No, I just want to make sure we talked about it. My one hesitation is that does it have to be a take-home vehicle? Can it, and I don't even know, I'm looking at you, Tony, I don't even know if there's a place to park a vehicle that's not a take-home
if
vehicle.
you've ever been in the parking lot of the EOC, we're lucky to have enough spots at shift change, let alone to have one that's parked there.
And that's what I didn't know. That's why I'm like looking.
Shouldn't be parked at the EOC.
There's gonna be a big lot there before long in there, Tony.
Don't be letting the cat out of the bag now.
Okay.
What do you mean it shouldn't be parked at EOC? Where should it be parked? Like, if we have an emergency?
Well, ideally, it would be parked here in our garage,
Okay,
which several vehicles are that way, but we don't have a lot of room for that either.
that's fine, just,
My own personal opinion is a take-home vehicle makes sense, because it could be in any hour of the night.
no, totally. Here's where my head goes. And sometimes I'm too far ahead. If you get another employee in 2 years, then you're back here asking for another take-home vehicle where I'm like, could this be a shared vehicle if your department at some point needs more than one person to have access to it?
If we grew like that, then yes, we could make it where it's shared, but we've typically been 2 people.
Okay.
I mean, I've been doing this for 24 years. We've been 2 people. We're fortunate to have 2 full-time people, honestly, in the state.
Okay,
For these offices. Several offices are 1. There are very few that have beyond 2 full-time. You have to get into the bigger cities such as Indianapolis. Some may have part-time people. But yeah, I mean, I kind of foresee us staying at the staffing that we're at least for the foreseeable future. And having us, like Mark and Tony both said, you know, it could be any hour of the night, any part of the county that we need to respond to. And that's hopefully if something doesn't happen, like the March tornado last year. I kind of had to drive through some debris to get out because the tornado came through
Totally.
our area, just to get out and respond to the office then.
Perfect. Okay,
Can I ask? a question?
absolutely.
And I hate to do this,
You weren't there that
putting
day.
anybody on the spot, but, does our assistant, emergency operations manager live in Bartholomew County?
Right now, she does not, so that would be,
I would only ask that the vehicle stay in Bartholomew County.
The vehicle, stay in Bartholomew County.
and at the time that I put the request in, she did. It's been a recent move and I think it's short term, but yeah, we can, I mean, if that's.
She's awesome. I'm not criticizing her.
Yeah,
She's awesome.
If that's the case, then we can make that.
I don't even, do we have a county rule on? I
No.
don't- Okay, I was like,
Not for that.
So don't put that, actually, they're
What,
commissioners, so don't put that in.
why are you suggesting that, Tony?
I'm sorry, what'd you say, George?
Why are you suggesting that? I believe, and we have several people from the sheriff department that deputies can live outside of Bartholomew County and they take their vehicles home. So why are you asking that?
Because we have 50 deputies and we have one assistant emergency operations director. So they have to come out for everything. I would personally like to see that stay closer to home for that particular issue.
And that's your jurisdiction, right? We can't make that rule, can we?
No, you can't make that.
My only I don't have a problem with the vehicle. I just think that a purchase that size, when it's not unexpected income that came in, it's money that we've always gotten, should just go through the normal budget process and be a planned purchase as opposed to
a mid-year.
mid-year. I mean, I think we start setting precedent for other departments.
So you're suggesting that the money that is gonna be coming back to us in 2027
Mhm.
is utilized to purchase a vehicle?
Just build it into the
Instead
budget.
of allocating now an additional, well, it's not an additional, it went to county general now. So
But
that,
it's not a county general
But,
for as
I mean,
long as
if-
it's been reimbursed and we've never used that money as an additional expense. for the
Correct.
department. So
I understand what you're saying now, yeah.
If that's the case, I mean, our expected reimbursement for next year's 60,000. So,
And to be clear, if you do that, and it's certainly within your scope,
One
the
time.
vehicle can't be purchased until after the first of the year.
That is the downside. And based on my front yard, it's still tornado season.
and typically, we start the reimbursement process as far as filling out the paperwork and everything, because we have to wait for the calendar year to finish. We start that paperwork process sometime in the spring. It was July when the reimbursement was received by the county this year. So I waited till the reimbursement was actually in before we put the request in.
but if we had a budget, we wouldn't have to wait for the reimbursement. We
Okay.
could go buy it.
Yeah, you could, like January 1, you could buy it.
Built into your budget.
Why don't we just, in 40 minutes, we're gonna be discussing the 27 budget. Let's go ahead and table this and then look at the big broad picture of everything with the vehicles and everything else. 52,000, I'm sure we can find it in the budget then.
Yeah.
But we've got multiple things that's going through
I
everybody's
can
head.
make that into a motion to table it.
Does that make sense?
I just like to see it go through the
Process.
Okay, so
same
we're-
process that.
Is that okay, Shannon? That was-
That's fine. This was just.
Yeah.
It was originally in my 27 budget, and in the discussion with the commissioners, this was a secondary option to purchase it, with those funds, so.
If we have issues of in-county, out-of-county, we can iron that out during the budget process.
Are you making a motion? to
So
table it?
you don't have to worry about it. We can do that.
Okay, perfect.
Are you making a motion to
Yes.
table it? I'll second the motion.
All those in favor of tabling the motion for the EMA vehicle, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
All right, rainy day transfer.
And you can quit sending so many emails to.
You know, I really am trying not to blow up everybody's email, but you'll be happy to know that the final flood warning was canceled just for this meeting, so all the roads are open in the county, at least for a couple of days. We're supposed to have dry weather through Thursday. I think it starts raining again, but it's my understanding the heavy rainfall like we've had is not in the forecast.
Anticipate the northern waters to cause
No, So we are good. Actually, our driftwood was supposed to crest in moderate, and after the rainfall fell, everything, it dropped down to minor. So all three of the major rivers crested in minor level.
Oh, good.
Very strange happenings this time. We only had 3 roads closed. 3 of our typical roads, but only 3 of them. The 4th one was due to trees down from the storm last week, and it just took County Highway a little bit of time to get all those cut up and moved off the roadway, so.
One quick question.
Yes.
Is it the state or your office on the recorded message that are sent to alert the community? The first 20 seconds to talk about receiving this message, punch 1, instead of having the message first when it's seconds, when tornadoes and things hit. Should that be at the end instead of the beginning while you're sitting and listening to all that? That's just a question. I just
So
noticed-
that's the mass notification system. I'll have to see if we can switch that around, the wording around.
It makes sense. If you got an emergency, hey, it's coming, be here in this area.
Right.
Confirm your message at the end, not at the beginning.
Yeah,
Just a
we can
thought
look
thing.
into that. Anything else? All right, thank you.
Good time to encourage people to sign up for Code Red, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, because Everbridge contract ends on August 30th.
So that means the phone calls will stop?
From Everbridge, yes. But the Code Red ones,
Code Red's got more.
depends on how you sign up.
Matt,
Right.
it's,
It will,
The
it will
Everbridge
stop the call
ones?
back into dispatch.
yeah, I didn't sign up for him because Matt gets it. That's enough.
Sign up for Code Red. It's actually really good.
That's
I
an
did
app.
not hear that.
You get them all.
Code Red's an app though, isn't it?
There's an app, but also you can, there's a 5-digit number you can text to sign up, and it will send you text messages. It'll call you. Just the same as Everbridge has.
Yeah.
But there is also an app, but let me warn you, if you download the app and you've also signed up for text messages or phone calls, it will double up because you will get the alert from the app and how you've signed up in the system as well. I did that, so just be cautious.
Thank you, Shannon.
Sounds like an echo chamber in my house when those things start going off.
Yes, exactly.
Every phone goes off. Yes.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay, apparently I'm the rainy day.
You are the rainy day.
I am here, council, to ask for an additional appropriation of $136,500. You all should be familiar with this. It was brought up in the last council meeting. This is the difference between the amount that was appropriated and the actual finished amount of the design portion of the new youth services center. We had anticipated that amount being 1.2 million, and actually came out to 1.336 million, $1,136,500. We're still very comfortable with that number. It's actually quite a bit below what is typical in the industry. And we get 2 companies, Atelier Risting and Taylor Brothers Construction, to help work that. They built the court services building. It was pretty clean process working with them, and they're a pleasure to work with. And they take great pride in the work they do for Bartholomew County. So I'm here to ask for that additional $136,500 for that design fee.
Perfect. Any questions for Tony?
The other one didn't come from, we ended up not doing it on a rainy day, right?
No, we just took it out of general.
Yes, this one's rainy day.
Make a motion to approve it.
Mark moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Kim seconds. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same as sign. Motion carries.
Thank you all. A lot of
Thank
numbers
you.
flying through here today. I'll
Uh-huh.
be back in an hour with some more.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, transfer, Arcosha. I see you getting a,
That's gotta be perfect. Awesome. Thank you, sir.
So just here, transfer 65,000 from the salaries in the jail to overtime on the sheriff's side.
perfect, thank you.
And it probably won't be the last time I come over to transfer more money, especially with parental leave. Actually a nice thing, but as the papers I just sent you, will show you what we're spending on parental leave. about 100,000 if we're having to cover that officer on overtime.
Okay.
We've got that many,
When you
Uh,
have
Bill, the sheriff?
on both sides. Basically for today, it's the 65, just transferred over to the sheriff's side for overtime.
Was I correct when you guys had 250 inmates the other day or better?
We were up to about 260. I think we're down to 237 this morning.
Brown County's got 30.
They have several over there, yes.
Cause that's a big split change.
No question, I wouldn't, for the amount of 65,000 for the transfers from jail salaries to sheriff overtime.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same as sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for this.
Yep,
This is
no
good.
problem.
All right, we did veteran treatment, adult probation.
So I don't think anyone is on. They're just, fee monies that they're moving that comes in from collections through the clerk. So they're asking to move from the fund that is received into a fund where they spend the money. So they have a budget in alcohol, drug program and the adult probation. They're just asking to move those monies to the appropriate fund to spend.
Okay, perfect. Do I have a motion to approve this transfer?
So moved.
Greg has moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mike has second. All those in favor of the transfer from administrative to probation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same as sign. Motion carries.
But do the user fee
Same
too.
thing with the user fee. Normally, they used to just send us over a claim to ask for that money, but State Board of Accounts now requires them to come and ask for a transfer.
Okay. I'll entertain. All right, Greg moved.
Second.
George has second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same as sign. All right. On to miscellaneous. I'm gonna start with our friends from BCSC.
Thanks for having us. My name is Chad Book, Superintendent at BCSC. This is my beginning of the third year in that role, and I think 22nd in the community and 22nd with BCSC. Dr. Brett Bozeman here with me today, Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations. And our goal is, as you all have seen, the Yes for BCSC signs pop up around the community like dandelions in the spring. Our goal is to make sure that every person in the community that goes in to vote on this topic is as informed as they possibly can be and has all of the answers to any question that they might have. And so that's our purpose coming before you today. Very brief overview. Around 2017, 18, 19, we were seeing an incredible amount of teacher turnover, higher than what we had really ever seen in BCSC. The cover of every magazine and newspaper in the country was talking about teacher shortages, and we were seeing that reflected in Bartholomew County. There were 2 years in a row we had over 100 of our 725 or so teachers in a new teacher orientation, 2 consecutive years of over 100 teachers. 1 year was 120. In one of those years, actually one of those later years before the referendum was fully in effect, we had 50 teachers in BCSC that had 0 years of experience. It was their very first year in the business. And as anyone who has a significant number of employees knows, that kind of turnover can just be problematic for the organization. So we also were seeing at that point in time, we were seeing our reading scores had begun to decline, as well as our graduation rate. Started to see that in even prior to COVID, when they took an even larger hit. So we had an idea. We spoke to many of you about that idea back at the time, and brought to the public an operating referendum at 15.6 cents per $100 of assessed value, with the primary purpose being, can we recruit and retain great educators for our kids? We also at one point, I think we were proposing about 22 cents, but backed that down and narrowed it down to mainly people, great teachers and great staff. So we also, we give experience increases for teachers after their 5th year with BCSE, their 10th year, and their 15th year. And then for classified staff, so our bus drivers, custodians, cafeteria workers, teaching assistants, they all receive either $1 or $2 per hour. I'm happy and proud to report to you that when the referendum passed in June of 2020, that was a COVID year, and so the primary that year was pushed back to June. The next year in January, we started paying folks that additional salary, and then a year later, we started seeing the number of new teachers come in decline. We are now 3 years in a row where we're at or below 50 new teachers, period, much less teachers with 0 years of experience. This most recent year, we had 42 teachers who were new to BCSE, so a third of what we had in that year prior to COVID. And again, I have to say this every time. Nothing against the first-year teacher at all. I was one once, but I can guarantee you I wasn't a very good one. And then maybe 3-4 years later, I was a decent teacher, but it takes time just like anything else. So we are retaining our staff. We are able to recruit teachers from other communities. We have teachers that are coming to us from surrounding communities now. They still live in another town around us, but they come here because they want to work for BCSE. Our average teacher salary prior to the referendum passing in 2020 was 5.5 percentage points below the state average. Today it's 11.2 percentage points above the state average. So we're an attractive place for teachers to come and work with our kids. And that's the last thing I'm most proud of, is that here we are in 2026, and in the past 3 to 4 years, our reading scores for our 3rd graders have increased 11 percentage points over where they were in 2021. And then our graduation rate has increased 18 percentage points, or it will this January when the official number comes out from this past May's graduation cohort, to 98% of our students graduating from high school. We were close to 80% just 5-6 years ago. Studies show that young adults, they're not students anymore once they graduate, young adults who have a diploma, a high school diploma, will earn between $300,000 and $600,000 or $700,000 in additional income over their lifetime for having a high school diploma versus a student who's dropped out. That's a significant impact on our community. So we're excited about the fact that the referendum is working. It's having great outcomes for our kids and great outcomes for our community. And Dr. Bozeman is going to talk a little bit about the technical aspects of the rate itself, the question that's going to be on the ballot, and then we'd love to answer any questions you have.
Good afternoon. Thanks for allowing us a little bit of time. So as Dr. Phelps mentioned, the referendum will fund 4 areas: certified teachers' salaries based on experience, classified staff, bus drivers, custodians, administrative assistants, teaching assistants, etc. The majority of our safety personnel. So back in 2019, we had 4 SROs, school resource officers, who are active law enforcement. Now we have 6, and we have 5 school safety officers. So the school safety officers, they're our people. They work for us. They're all retired law enforcement. And their job, you may be familiar if you've been around the high schools here recently, but their jobs are to be at the front door of North and East High School and greet every kid with a smile, make sure they've got a lanyard, they're supposed to be there, and ensure that those doors are safe as people come and go. So we've gone from 4 to 11. And the lion's share of their salaries are paid from the operating referendum. And then we pay about half of the salaries of our elementary STEM teachers. So all of our kiddos in elementary schools get to go through STEM class once a week, and half of those salaries are come from the operating referendum as well. So back in 2020, 61% of the community supported this idea. The rate was 15.6 cents per $100. The rate that you'll see on the ballot in November is 15.6 cents per $100. The rate will remain the same. It'll be the question. you're familiar, they're long, they're confusing, they're required by statute. We get very little input into what goes into the question, but we have to play the game, of course. So the first line of the question will say, shall Bartholomew Consolidated School Corporation continue to increase taxes, and explain the 15.6 cent rate, which is also capped by a maximum levy of $10.1 million. Goes on to explain what the scope of the work is for. And then the last line reminds voters of the last referendum and the success of that in 2020. So what the referendum does not pay for are administrative salaries, construction projects, anything other than the four categories that I explained. It is a renewal, so the rate's the same as I mentioned. And basically the 2020 referendum would expire in 2028 if not renewed. And this just extends, it starts new, starts over in 2026. Vote in 26, effective 27 for 8 years. So resets the bar, so to speak, through 2034. Again, same rate, continuation of the same rate, but extends it out to 2034. So happy to answer questions that you may have about the scope of the work or the financing, or anything of the sort for either one of us.
I do have a question, and I need a correction on this thing, because I really don't know that I have the correct answer, but what does the state pay versus what does property taxes pay for the schools? I was under the impression that the state paid for all the salaries of all the teachers, and that the property taxes paid for transportation and the operation expenses. If that is correct, which I don't, so I'm asking you, why do we need to have a referendum to increase the salaries, which are basically paid by the state?
The state pays about 2/3 of the revenue that we have in a given year. But they have blurred the line between what is operations and what is education. So the education fund is what the state directly funds us. And then operating referendum, debt service, those all come from property taxpayers and mostly local dollars. But what the state said is, we understand that there are communities that might want to go above and beyond what we fund. And those communities have this is your one tool that you have as a school district. If you go to your community and say, would you like to do more than what the state pays?
And for that, you need to have a referendum.
And for that, you need to have a referendum.
And
So that's the one
referendum is to have a
mechanism.
bar, to be able to have money to pay the teachers more. So that bond will never go away.
It's not a bond. It's the bonds are, if we're doing a construction project, so we don't go out and borrow for the operating referendum. We just spend as the dollars come in
So
from.
we increase the property taxes in order to compensate for that.
Correct. That's the 15.6 cents. The difference in the question in 2026, this coming November, versus the one in 2020 is that cap on the levy.
It depends
And
on
so-
where you live. But when I get my property taxes, there's an additional sheet in there that gives a breakdown of how my property taxes is broken down to. And it used to be that I lived in the city, so I had the county, the city, BCSC, and those were the three largest amount of money that went to, but it also went to library, and it went to,
Solid waste.
pardon me?
Solid waste.
Solid waste and a couple other things like that, but that was minor in comparison to the three big ones, were the city, county, and BCSC. And all three of them are, to my recollection, and again, depending on what township you lived in, it may vary, but they were almost very equal in cost. When has BCSC done something to reduce cost? What is BSC doing to reduce costs so that that reduction of cost can be utilized to pay for the tax, for the salaries that you're talking about?
How long do you have? Number one, we have, just in the last year, we've cut about 20 certified staff positions, 3 administrative positions, and dozens of classified positions. This is in advance, not necessarily to the purpose that you described, but it's in advance of what we're all feeling from the impact of property tax reforms that were passed a couple of years ago. One of the things that we want to be sure and point out about this referendum, as opposed to maybe some other communities and some other school districts, which I don't fault them for, it's what their community would support. But we are not putting a referendum in place to try to undo the impacts of Senate Enrolled Act 1 and the property tax reforms that were passed in the last couple of years. This is simply to continue what we've been doing to this point, and won't attempt to increase property taxes in the future. That cap on the levy means that no matter what happens with all of our assessed values in the coming 8 years, if this is approved, BCSE can never collect more than the 10.1 million on this referendum. That wasn't in place in 2020, which is why the amount of money collected, 6 years later was significantly larger than it was the first year of the referendum. Because of Senate Enrolled Act 1 and the impact of that property tax reform, we're actually going to see, if this is approved, that 15.6 cents will result in a lower amount of money collected 5 years from now, 4 years from now, than what we will collect this year or next year.
Because of Senate Bill 1.
Correct.
And what will happen then if it's no instead of yes, then you're 11.2% up since, so is it, what's plan B if it is no?
So if the referendum is not successful this November, the current referendum stays in place through 2028.
Yep.
And so as long as I'm still in this position in 2028, I would recommend to the board that we bring it back again in 2028. But there are three, one of our board members asked this question: what happens to districts? Does this happen somewhere else? I found three other districts in the state of Indiana that had an operating referendum in place, and then it went away. All three were significantly smaller school districts than what we are, but in all three cases, those districts, two of them ended in 2021 and one ended in 2022. So they had a few years since then. In all three cases, just what you would expect to happen has happened. They have lost ground relative to the state average teacher salary since their referendum went away, and they have seen an increase on the number of new and experienced teachers coming into their district. So exactly the trend that we're trying to swim against, continue to swim against, is what we're seeing happen other places.
I've had people say stuff to me, don't let's scrutinize it, and I understand your buckets that you got your money. And so I'm assuming what you're putting forth to get yes is the buckets to fund actual teachers, not another school build or something else. And you can't rob Peter to pay Paul if it's no. Is that correct?
That's correct. This will only be used to fund the same categories that we're funding now: retaining and recruiting teachers, classified staff, and safety and security.
And was that the same theory in 2020, that bucket was for that same purpose?
It was. The only thing that it didn't fund was STEM salaries back then. And it also, we considered safety and security broader.
Right.
At that point in time, we bought some buses to make sure we didn't have any 12-year-old buses on the road, but we've caught up on our bus replacement schedule. So we took those off, took some of the contracted services for wellness services for students, and hope to, in the next year or two, put STEM teachers back into the regular education fund.
So if it's a no in November, you could still come back in 28 with the same referendum.
Correct.
And Mark, all of those expenditures going back to 2020 on the current referendum are all on our website. We give the board an annual presentation. So
800, the numbers you sent the other day, I read those. Somebody got them to me.
yeah, we try to be very, very transparent with the community since the inception, and it's all there. So thank you.
The state cuts for pre-K, can the referendum funds be used for educators for that, or is that a separate bucket?
They can be, but we are choosing not to expand the scope of this referendum. As superintendent in this district, I was excited when we passed this back in 2020, excited about the possibilities, what it might do. Didn't think about at the time that, 6 years later, I might be the person out here saying, this is so incredibly critical to this community. It has to pass for our teachers, our staff, and our students. So we decided very intentionally, there may be a lot of other needs, pre-K being one of them. I believe in it, but we're not going to add things to this referendum. We have to get it renewed the way that it is, and we will find ways to fund as many pre-K seats as we can in another.
Last question, I had 61% approved last time. Was that 61% of a voter turnout, like 30% or something like that? Or was that, okay,
Primary.
Of the term.
primary?
Primary.
Was it? Okay.
Primary.
It was it was a primary. It was actually June because of COVID. It was the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of blur back then.
Okay, one of the things I hear a lot about is we can transfer money. I know from the education fund to the operations fund, I think state statute says you can't do more than 15%. What's the limit from our current operations fund to the education fund? Because when we have to take from operations and put in education, if we want to keep our teachers' salaries the level they're at today and the referendum doesn't pass,
There is no limit.
there is no limit. Okay, so then let me ask you this question. How short is the operations budget? Based on current property tax revenues to do everything we need to do? Because I think,
Plan.
changes. Again, I know I'm not normal, so I've read a lot about this and been on Indiana Gateway a lot. I think we're taking 10% from the education fund and putting it into operations fund today, or am I reading something wrong?
A little bit less than that.
7.
Okay. So if we're already taking from the education and putting into operations, like how is someone like me who gets a lot of questions because people realize I'm a nerd supposed to answer where the money's supposed to come from? Like George asked, what can we cut? You've just said all the things we're cutting, but those are out of the education fund. What, I mean, like, where's this money going to come from? Because I'm nervous because I don't want teacher salaries to go down, but I've studied the school board budget a lot. I don't know where it's going to come from in operations to go to education. Do you have any ideas?
The operations fund is not the solution. If this referendum is not successful,
Yeah,
the operations fund does not have the resources to backfill
that's what I need to
nine
do.
and a half $million per year,
And-
more than $7.5 million of which is for
And
teachers.
don't misunderstand me, because I think that I share some of the concerns that he is talking about. I am very much pro-education. I experienced, and that's one thing that nobody can take away from you. My family experienced that in 1959. Everything was taken away from you, but not the education.
Mhm.
You know, so that education is very important. However, I also read and I also hear, you know, that it has been said that as a nation, we spend more money in education and we get the least amount of results for that money that we're spending. So when you try to equate all that with what things that you're talking about, and then you see here locally, St. Peter's and St. Bartholomew, who are smaller, they pay less in teachers and all that kind of stuff. They outperform educationally our BCSE students, you know, and so I'm trying to put all that together to understand why is it that this is necessary when I don't see any kind of financial business-like operations of the school system.
I appreciate you sharing that, because we are, especially when you talk about, you know, reading about national spending on education and the returns, we are focused on BCSE and our community, and believe that you can draw a direct line between the beginning of the referendum directly to increase in our ability to recruit and retain great teachers, directly to increases in reading scores and graduation rates for our students, all of which benefit the community, as opposed to the larger narrative.
For example, where does Indiana as a state ranks with the other 50 states? We're not one of the top ones. We're not even in the middle. And when you read within the 150 school systems that we have in Indiana, you know, where does BCSE rank in? And it's not on top. It's not in the middle. It's somewhere in there. And that's the statistic that I've been reading all along, okay? And so I find education to be very important, but it doesn't have to be very expensive. It has to be good education, you know, and that's what I'm trying to reconcile in my mind, where and how the money is being spent for the results that we're getting back. because we do that in the county all the time, and I believe the city does the same thing, you know, because we're representing our taxpayer, and we need to be, we're conscious about what the problems are that they're having financially as we approve things also. And I think the same thing would apply to BCSC or any tax tax reporter organization. So don't misunderstand me. I'm trying to reconcile all that data together, you know, especially when I believe that education is very important and something that cannot be taken away from a child, from any human being, once you receive it. And it can be, and everything else can be taken away.
Indiana was fourth in reading for third graders in just recent years, fourth in the country. And our increase of 11 percentage points, we like to take some credit for that.
You know, it's kind of just, I get all this, I hear all this. I've got a daughter in the mid-30s, 9 years, school teacher, third grade, has her first child. Don't want to go back. You know, there are some combinations where you're throwing the numbers, losing 40, 50, but that's reality. So, but you got to pay them. You take care of your employees, they'll take care of you. So same with teachers.
I think also we're competing with other school districts that are maybe 1 or 2 counties away. They are paying more, just like we're fighting the county and the county offices where we're competing against even the private sector for employers and retainage.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, we experienced that with our law enforcement, with the state increasing the state police, and
Yes.
and we have to do something similar to that in order to be able to maintain some balance.
But I'm curious as to this $10,100,000 number. How does that compare to the anticipated number in 2020? How's that compared to the current dollar value, dollars that are being collected today? You know, are we collecting 8 million today, or are we collecting 12 million today?
So it's about 10 and a half now. Actually from a strategy standpoint, how the next 8 years would be funded as a deficit financing model. So for example, and I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me, but in 3 years, the revenue that we'll bring in will be capped at not just in 10.1, obviously, but the spend will be about 11. So we're able to do that because there is cash available that we have reserved in case it were to not be renewed. So we went into that purposefully to begin with, because we didn't want to come in with a higher rate. Because again, we didn't want to assume any risk of this not passing and putting the district and our teachers in a tough spot. So since we had such a high priority on 15.6 and not to supplement losses from SCA 1 and all these types of things, we're fortunate we can have that cash balance to actually run from the deficit finance model moving forward. So
that means you collected more in the past 6 years than what you really needed.
And the reason that you can speak, the reason some of that additional was collected because if the referendum were to not pass, say let's say in 28 it does not pass, and we have contracts bargained with the teachers union that we have to pay out north of $4 million. So it would be very difficult. Just there's several reasons that would cause a complication, but the obvious the largest would be it would be very difficult to negotiate a contract with a bargaining unit that would possibly change, because all these dollars have to be bargained, that could possibly change substantially at Christmas. So the cash that was there, now when we get to the end of this one in 2034, we have to make a decision on what.
But every company that has unions have the same issue.
I'm sorry?
Every company has the same or similar issues. You know, when they have unions working for them and they have to negotiate a contract with the union, if they don't have the money and the union wants to have a 20% increase and the company doesn't have the money, there has to be a resolution or a different way. It's not raising the taxes of people or raising the prices of their product, because people will stop buying those products and then go someplace else to buy other products or similar products from another company who's managed better.
The difference is that this community approved spending those property tax dollars that we bargained to contract with our Teachers Association, based on the fact that we have an agreement from this community, we want to fund this through 2028. So what we're saying is, we're coming in 2026 just to get it done well ahead of time. Do you still believe that this is the best thing to do for our kids and the community? We can do it for the same rate, but less money, and we can still get the same results that we're getting for our kids right now. And if they do that, we'll be in great shape.
Schools increase because, and the reason I'm asking that is that I hear several people that are new employees at Cummins that have opted to relocate to Johnson County rather than Bartholomew County because they had better education over there than they felt that they have better education over there than here, which is very disturbing to me because I think this community is fantastic. And I hate to see this, to newcomers who don't understand this community to think that way or to feel that way.
The state iRead scores came out last week, and of the 15 largest districts in the state, BCSC was second behind Carmel.
What's that, what?
Second behind Carmel schools in passing rate for iRead 3. And we're encouraged by that also.
All right, this has been incredibly
Educational.
helpful personally. I'm so hoping everyone else, we appreciate your time. I probably have follow-up
Yeah, you
questions.
probably didn't expect to get the kind of questions that we asked you either.
Please do. That's really what we want to do. Make sure to open the door, reach out to us anytime you have questions, or if you get questions from folks in the community that you can't answer, refer them to us or give us a call.
Absolutely. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. Good luck this fall.
Thank you.
All right, the final miscellaneous item before we segue to budget is, we brought this up last month that I cannot be here on September, when's our 14th? Thank you, Daleen. I'm like, heaven help me. Mark and I talked and he's like, can we move the meeting?
Martin, say that again.
Mark and I talked and Mark,
September 14th was our meeting.
yeah, so
When's the first meeting?
First reading.
first reading is September 14th. Do we want to kick it to the following week? Can everyone kick it to the following week?
You just gotta read, because it's already been submitted to the state board. of
It's
Accounts, right?
been submitted, but
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't have to have it published until September 4th, so I just have to know.
Are you going that whole week?
So we're doing, you suggested that we do the council on the 21st?
Yes.
I have no problem with that.
Mike, you good? Kim, you good on the 21st? Marcus, you good on the 21st?
21st it is.
All right, we are moving the September meeting to the 21st, so we need to update the calendar. Is that what you were saying to me, Kim?
I was saying, I have to get
It updated on your
on
calendar?
my calendar, yeah.
Second reading's still okay, because we have enough time. It's over 2 weeks, right?
Correct.
Yeah. so we
Because
have-
the October meeting is what date?
I believe the 10th.
The 12th is the second Monday daily.
Really 2 weeks preferable.
Yeah, I agree. 2 weeks preferably, but that gives us enough.
Well, yeah, that's the law.
Yeah, I agree.
10
4
days.
4 o'clock again?
Yeah.
At least, have it on the 14th, the 21st, okay.
Assuming we get done.
You're gonna be out here.
So the
Pretty
12th
much.
October 12th is still a good day.
Yep, still good.
However,
Third, I guess.
September will be the 12th.
Well, that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
All right, perfect. Any other items for the council meeting before we adjourn? And then we have to join a new Zoom, so we can have 2 separate recordings.
Make motion to close the council meeting for August.
All right, second.
Second.